All right, so I've got them sorted out. That far crate is empty now. I have sorted them as our two breeders that we picked out. The black and white boar was 7/17 set, no pins, and then that tricolor gilt. I'll double check my notes, make sure I'm not crazy here. Yeah, tricolor gilt 6/6 teep count, and then so what that's going to put us with, okay. So there were 11 piglets here. She'd had a litter of 14, 3 got squished, and actually the biggest issue with that was kind of fell back on me. So we farrow in with her, and she's one of my slightly larger sows. We farrowed in an A-frame, and the one issue I have with the A-frame design is that if you have those slightly larger sows, when they get up to move around, if it's in the wrong spot, they can kind of pick up that thing. And I've had this issue now with 2 litters, and I actually bought some stuff to try to remedy that, and just didn't get it out in time. I'll do another video where I'll reinstall some of those and show you what that looks like to kind of hold those A-frames down in place. Because what happened is she picked it up in the middle of the night just enough that a piglet got out from underneath it, and this happened once with that, and another one just got squished, and then I don't remember what was the other one, probably just squished again. But it was half in and out, half underneath. So and I had that happen on another litter too with my largest sow, her mother. That piglet survived, thankfully. It just has a kind of messed up leg, so we'll keep it back for us. Probably much information, I ramble. If you watched any of my videos, you know this now. So if we count out of that 14, then that's going to be 14% breeder ratio out of this, which not fantastic. It is kind of surprising because this sow is a really nice sow. I'll drop a picture of her in here for you. It's Oatmeal. You can obviously look at her pictures of her on our website and videos. She's one that's in the first pin when we did the sun sales too. She's a great looking sow, but this litter just kind of didn't pan out, and that happens. Boar wasn't a bad looking boar or anything. I'll be really interested to see how she does with the boar I've got her paired with for this fall. That boar is gorgeous. When we say back on our farm, I'm super excited. So we'll see how that works out. So that would be 14%. If we factor out of that 11 that is actually here and that we're evaluating out of, that's still 18%. So we're still well beneath that 25 to 33% that I like. We wound up with our 2 breeder quality ones, 3 feeder gilts that we'll retain on farm, and 6 barrows that we'll castrate and sell to customers. So next what we're going to move on to ear tag system. So what I like to do is run 2 different ear tags. So first thing, ear tag gun, just one of those basic Y-Tech ear taggers, right? The thing that I like to do here is I run 2 different colors. So same style tag, this is just all flex, whatever you can get your hands on, to be honest. At this point, ear tags are kind of coming hard to get. So there are these button style tags. I'll come up closer to the camera. And these fit in that ear tagger. I'm not going to go back to this other one because you're not going to need to see that. So, they're this style. They are about that big. They're, I think, the medium size is what they call these. I don't think I still have, no, I don't still have the piece of paper that's in the bag that tells you. But we go with a yellow and a white. Okay? So, white ear tag means that I tagged it as a feeder. Yellow ear tag means that it's tagged out as a breeder piglet. So once everybody weans, we'll throw them all in one pin. That way I can run in when I've got customers, I can grab their piglet out and take off. They obviously need an ear tag so I can tell the piglets apart, right? Which we're going to show you what we write on them and how we do that. So I've got here one of those pens. But the yellow ear tag helps me because there's obviously going to be drastically less yellow ear tags in there than there are white. So when I'm catching a customer's feeder piglets, I can immediately zone in and go, okay, there's a white tag. Okay, that's this color. That does have wattles, and that's a male or that's a female. And it narrows it down. Honestly, I don't even need to see the numbers most of the time. There's enough diversity in IPPs between color, wattles, and then just sex, male, female, that usually gets me close since our breeders are so far narrowed down. And then with the white tags, when I'm looking for those for customers, and I apologize for the sun, it's just starting to get late enough in the day that it's coming through these windows pretty hard. So with those, right, I see a white tag. All I need to look for now is that a barrow or is that a gilt? That's it. And then the barrows go to those customers, the gilts stay on our farm. And then that number will get less and less as they start pulling out. And then once all the other customers' ones are out and they're small enough that I don't think they'll make it through a fence and try to get back with moms later, they're on feed by the time they're about 1 to 2 weeks old, so that's not really an issue. As soon as they're 6 weeks old, they're eating on their own completely and they don't need mom. They will nurse up to 10, 12 weeks old. I've even had some larger weaned ones come from farms that are 4 months old that still attempt to, but they don't need it. At that point, they're more than sufficient. So how your tag number system works, I'm gonna go ahead and write 2 of them up. Sure, I've got my numbers right. 18 and 19. Okay. So what we do is we start with the first 3 letters of the sow's name. So in this case, Oatmeal. So the tag will read oat. And I bet that's reversed because it's a camera. And then we do 3 numbers. And those numbers are going to go in order from 1 up based on the number of piglets for that season. So that does mean, in the spring, I'll have an oat. I may, it'll land, depending on when they're landed, when they're evaluated. I may have an oat, in this case it'll be 018. 018, okay? So what that means is, up to this point, I have evaluated and tagged, and that's what's important here because I don't tag all the piglets. If there's a piglet that I know is staying on farm and I don't need to tag it, then I'm not going to. My breeder piglets that I'm going to keep, if they're very distinctive, there's no reason for me to tag it. You've seen in a prior video or video I'm about to upload, Cupcake, Muffin's daughter, we're retaining her to replace Muffin. She's not getting a tag. She's a single piglet out of that litter. I can tell her apart from all the other piglets on the farm. I'm not worried about it. And our adults all wind up tearing their ear tags out by the time they're about 18 months old anyways. So it's not an issue. Also, you probably hear that they are panting. The sun is hitting them, but we are in the garage, and the garage has an AC unit running. While they're in the sun, I may throw something over the crate in a minute to kind of give them some shade. It is like 68 degrees in here. So beyond them laying in the sun, it's not that hot in here. Don't worry about that. I will write that number on the back of each. So like I said, so this is the ones that have been tagged. There are 2 or 3 piglets so far up to this season that just haven't been tagged, and so I won't count them as a number. So this will be oat 018, so oat 18. I don't anticipate having 100 piglets in a season, but you never know. I'd hate for there to be that one season where I didn't start doing that and then I have to, and then it's just kind of a nuisance. So oat 018, that's 1 breeder. And then our next breeder, oat 019. Okay? And I'm going to write that on both sides. And you don't have to write them on both sides. I do. And that's largely a me thing. Because I always forget which direction they go in the tagger. I've tagged, at this point I have tagged a couple hundred piglets. And I always forget which direction those go. So we're going to grab, this is the button. These go on the back side, and this is what pierces. So, now I'm not saying because I forget which direction the writing goes that I forget how to put one of these in every time, because I don't do that. It's very self-explanatory. You kind of can't screw these up. So, you've got this little bushy thing, and that little nub slides down in there. That's kind of it. Your ear tag's going to go off to the side. There's this little needle plungery thing that slides in the hole that is in the back of this button, okay? That slides up in there, all right? And that's gonna push down into, instead of me taking that out, that's gonna push down into that hole that's there in the top and protrude out the back, okay? So we're gonna grab that one. We're gonna go ahead and tag it for you and show you how that works. This is 018, so I went ahead and took the note. That is going to be our black and white boar. I'm going to move my knee pad here. Okay, so we're just going to prop him up here, and we're going to go ahead and pull him to the side. They seem to be just a little more comfortable if they're supported on the butt with the knee, hands under both, and they don't feel like they're falling, right? And then I like to try to put that tag on the back side of his ear, button on the inside. So I'm going to rotate that tag this way so that it faces out. Tag is behind, button is in front. We're going to go in, and we want to aim for right about here. So there's a line of cartilage that runs up and along the top. There's a little vein. We're going to hit just beneath that and about middle of the ear. If you go too far out to the edge, that tag's not going to last very long. It's going to get ripped out. And we want it to last as long as possible. In the breeders, at least 18 months. Feeders, at least the 8 weeks until they go to their new homes, but preferably longer, right? Preferably the tag stays in and you don't have it torn out of your tag. If the ear tag gets torn out, it is not the end of the world. You can either slap an ear tag in the other ear, or and don't worry about that. Like, every breeder I've ever had has had their ear tag ripped out. They have never gotten infected. It's not a big deal. Pigs' body temps are a little higher than people's. It's a lot harder for them to get infections, actually. And then they're raised outside eating. So, all the things that kids should be doing for the most part, right? Build a nice, healthy immune system. Pigs are doing, and they've got that higher body temp. They don't get as bad infections or as frequent infections as people do. That's not to say it doesn't happen, because it definitely does. It's just not as likely to happen as, if we were to tear a hole in our ear and then go roll around in a mud puddle that we peed in earlier, right? Okay, so let's move on. So we're going to go ahead and line that up. Get my hands far enough down on this. And then, and you can see he didn't even squeal, right? He did wince, but mostly because I've got to squeeze. There's a bit of pressure. There's no blood. Now, if you do hit, there is a vein in there, and you can hit that, and that will bleed a little. But honestly, it'll plug up pretty quick, and you don't have a problem. All right, he's ready to go back to the crate. And then we're going to grab our other ear tag. Yeah, I don't know what I'm looking for. Show you that on one more. Oh, see it. Rotate that around. Pull that little tab. Get her nice and supported. Grab, place, pull. Nice. Done. That's it. That's how fast tagging should go. Alright. Now I'm not going to sit here and make you watch me tag 9 more of them. That'd be kind of pointless and just a waste of your time, to be honest, because it's exactly the same process as that. Except I'm going to use white ear tags. The number system will remain the same, so the next piglet is going to be OAT 020. Immediately following that 019. And then when I get to biscuits later, it'll be the end of, I'm not going to do the math in my head right now as to what that next number will be. It'll be wrote down on my sheet of paper, and I'll follow from there. One last little thing I want to touch on before we go ahead and just hop off here. I'm going to back up just a little bit so my face is a little more center on that camera. So, like I had said, we went ahead and tagged 2 as breeders. I'm pretty confident that those are going to turn out nice. But one thing we need to do as breeders to uphold the ethics and honestly just the quality of the breed going forwards, I offer a 12-month guarantee. I'm not saying every farm needs to do that, or if you don't do that, you're a bad breeder. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying always be willing to, if you've produced a pig that you don't like, be willing to somehow make that right. So what we do and what our solution has been to that is we send out a frequently asked questions sheet. And I think we're going to go ahead and just drop that on our website so everyone has access to that. And I'll once I get that done, I'll drop that in the show links down, or the links to the show down below. But if you follow our feeding and mineral guidelines in there, right, to make sure, because we have had sometimes they just don't grow up to right size, and that could be genetic. I have had some that it's like, no, that's very obviously because you fed them a teacup, because you heard me say a coffee, or they've had a coffee cup, because they heard me say a coffee can, because a coffee can, a number 10 can, right, those big cans, one of those a day with our feed mix is about 3.5 pounds of grain per head per day, which is what we feed, 3.5 pounds per head per day. So this person heard, and it wasn't piglets from us, but it's piglets that I have the mother of, we actually just culled her this year, and culled her sister the year before. If they don't grow to size because you're not feeding them enough, I'm not going to replace it based on size. And there's any number of other things that could affect stunting wise. So I'm not going to replace it if you do that. But if you follow that, you feed 3.5 pounds per head per day of at least a 16% protein feed. You give them adequate mineral, and you are letting them graze to make up for that, or hay, because again, that is half their diet is grass and forage. If they don't have that, then you're going to need to bump up feed to make up for it. The only way we get away with dropping down that feed is having that decent amount of nice, healthy forage for them to feed. But it's all right. So you hit those, you feed right, make sure that your animal has some grass or hay, either one, and you give them some mineral. Preferably the mineral that we outline, or another. Obviously, we sell piglets all over the country. They don't have the type of mineral we feed because our type of mineral is based from a feed supplier that is Missouri specific. As long as you feed a relatively decent mineral in the low quantities we recommend, it's about for your feeders. And if you have healthy soil, you can wind up backing that off. You know what, I'm going to do a whole video on that. Let's just go ahead and move over. So if you follow those, and at 12 months or sooner, I mean, I love it when customers keep in contact with me, and this does not happen as often as I wish. Message me. Like, I'm serious. I will respond to as many messages as I can as fast as I can. I want to see updated pictures of your piglets, and not just because like I'm willing to replace your piglet if it goes bad. That's what we're getting to here, but like, it helps me later on because I still have pictures of these. I have pictures of nearly every pig I've ever evaluated from IPPs saved on my phone, so I can go back and it's got my notes on it. I can go, oh, okay, that's what this piglet looked like then. This is what it looks like now. Every time I have customers keep in contact with me, it makes me a better breeder because then I know, okay, so that's what that wound up looking at. That's why I can look at a couple of these and go, you know what, that's what their mom turned out like because I saved her back. I got to see her grow. I've had a few headers that have gone to people and I'm like, this is what it looked like, and now the snout looks perfect. The body build looks great. The size looks great. But there are all those little subtle clues that, you know, I only get to feed out ones that I don't like for the most part. Unless I'm retaining back a breeder, for me, I'm retaining back ones that I don't like. So I'm retaining back a lot of those bad snouts. I'm retaining back a lot of those runts. Or ones that I don't like the build. You know, they're too long and lanky, or they're just wide and squat. So I get to see that, but I don't always get to see the best ones unless customers send me pictures or preferably videos. Videos are fantastic. Sometimes a picture is hard to, you get angle wrong on a snout, and I've seen some look like a shovel, saw it in person and it looked fantastic, or vice versa. You know, it looked great in the picture, saw it either in person or in a video and was like, whoa, that was a bit excessive. So, you know, and I'm sure most breeders would appreciate that. Keep in touch, send them pictures. You know, I'm not saying harass people and, you know, once a week send them a thing, but like once every other month or so, feel free to send a message. This is how the pig's doing, you know, touch it in. Because I sell to a lot of people, and I know a lot of other breeders too. We can't reach out to everybody that we've done to. That's impossible. We're busy. But you know, if we get a message and you've taken that first step, any good breeder is going to respond to you. But like I said, so if it doesn't meet my standards still, if I look at that piglet at 12 months old and I'm like, ooh, I don't really like that, I will replace that piglet at the cost of a feeder. From that point on, essentially what I consider is that you bought a feeder from me, and I will replace that. It is not required by me that you process that pig, but it is strongly preferred. If I have replaced it for you at the cost of a feeder, I am really that for me is me saying that is really not a pig that you want to try to sell piglets out of. Because that's what, if you're buying a breeder piglet from me, you're probably doing it because you want to sell registered IPPs. If I feel like it's bad enough that I'm going to replace that pig to you, like I said, at the cost of a feeder, plus of course CVIs and any other vet fees, or if you want transportation. We do offer transportation for our piglets. I'm not going to comp those because those really add up, right? Transportation on some of them that we've done for people has been several $100s. So we're driving and wasting 2 days, 3 days driving. And then CVIs are a minimum $50, plus if they're in a state that requires blood testing. We can't cover all of that, but we will gladly cover that cost. It's that difference between the 500 and 150, because we want to make it as easy for you to make that swap as possible. And so like I said, so I'm fine making a couple of these that I'm like, I'm pretty sure I think this is going to work out good, but if not, I will make that swap. And I'm also not afraid to, you know, they're not going to leave for a couple more weeks. I'll still be able to keep an eye on them and be like, you know what, I really don't like that piglet. Please let me swap it for another piglet for you. Because I will start sending out pictures. As soon as we're done with all of this, I will message people and be like, hey, here's where we're at with your piglet. And this is the ones that I think you should get. People do get a little bit of a choice from me, but when I'm making pairs and trios, I will be like, you know, this one has this. This one's teat count is a little lower, but this 4 has a really high teat count. Or this one's snout is one of those, you know, kind of This one's really short, but maybe too short, but still pretty good. You know, we'll pair them together, you're bound to get a nice litter. And that's what I'm aiming for, is for you to get the best litters that you can, not necessarily, like, I want you to get the best pigs you can, of course, right? I would love it for you to enter them in the IPPBA show and then get a ribbon with my name attached onto that, right? That'd be fantastic. Every breeder's gonna want that. But I do also want you to have consistently nice litters. And there's a little bit of selfishness to it, right? Because as the breed does better, when I look for replacement pigs down the road, I know that if I see my letters behind that name, or a few other farms that I absolutely love their programs, I know that I'm going to probably get a quality pig, right? Because they have quality ancestors. So this is good for me too, to make sure that I'm kicking out the best ones I can. Honestly, I think that's going to hit it, folks. If I've missed something that you would like more information on, please drop it in the comments below. You can shoot me a message if you want, if you're afraid to drop it in the comments. But the comments, obviously, if you have a comment, you had a question to put in a comment, somebody else probably has that exact same question as well. So don't be shy to go ahead and drop those, and I will attempt to respond to every comment that I can. So far, that's not been hard. Yeah, and then if you think this is content that's, you know, doing good, it really helps us out and gets us some more views. If you go ahead and subscribe and hit like on the video. Thank you guys so much.